Chris Eubank Jr. wins 12 round unanimous decision over James Degale. Scorecards were 114, 112, 115, 112 and 117, 109. Now, I didn't score this fight myself, but by the end, I pretty much knew that this was Chris Eubank Jr.'s fight. Chris Eubank Jr., you could tell that James Degale was the better boxer. James Degale, he had the slicker movement. He was the better boxer, definitely, but he was just over the hill. And the real worrying thing is there was 2 rounds where James Degale was down. The second round, I think it might have been the 10th round. I forget the other round he was down. Excuse me for that. But you wonder, because I think in the second round, that was a round that I think that Degale was winning until he got dropped. So you kind of wonder, you take that knockdown out of the equation, how would it have been? James Degale really did look poor. His timing was all over the place. His balance was extremely poor. His feet were getting tangled up. He was switch hitting a lot, but it wasn't very seamless. The moments of success he had were few and far between, really, from what I could see. He would be sitting on the outside, or fighting on the outside, would come in with a left hand that would catch Eubank Jr. off guard more so than anything else. But there wasn't really any more success to really speak about, really, in terms of that. When Degale was boxing, you could see he was the better boxer. But he was very easy to pin against the ropes. He did appear to gas out near the end of the fight, and he was down twice. He was really down 3 times. He was dropped in the 12th round. He touched down. The referee didn't call it a knockdown. Eubank Jr., he hurt James Degale, I think, more in the second knockdown than he did in the first knockdown. I think that Eubank Jr., I don't think he was hurting Degale as bad as the punches looked. I think Degale was off balance a lot. His feet were tangling, and I think that was the issue. And, at the end of the day, I said this many times that I thought James Degale was over the hill. And I do think he's over the hill. I think he is absolutely shot to pieces and he needs to retire. They're doing the post-fight interviews right now. I'm recording this straight after, so I don't know if Degale has announced that or not. But I think Degale's finished. He is not going to compete with these world-level guys anymore. Eubank Jr., he showed a good right hand in this fight, which I've never really seen from him. He still has them issues with boxers. But with James Degale, he found an easier time getting to him. He was better at pressure and he was better on the front foot against someone like Degale, who really had, in many ways, Degale had 90 seconds of a round where he was good, and then he had the other 90 seconds where he was poor. So Eubank Jr. looked good from that point of view. I don't think Eubank Jr. is really going to be striking fear into the heart of any world level guys at 168. I'm not talking about the Anthony Yildirims and the Anthony Durrells. I'm talking about the Jesse Harts, the Gilberto Ramirez, if he sticks around, the Callum Smiths of the world. These kind of guys, I don't think that Eubank Jr. beats any of them. I think that these guys are a lot fresher than James Degale. They're bigger than James Degale. They are bigger than James Degale in terms of height and I would say body mass. And they're not going to gas as bad. And most of them hit harder. Like Benavidez, Smith, Ramirez, even Jesse Hart, they all hit a lot harder. They're all, at this stage, they're all a lot better than James Degale. And I think all the top guys at 168 would beat Chris Eubank Jr. And I think that if one of them was in there tonight with James Degale, whether it be a Callum Smith or Ramirez, they would have finished them. They would have took James Degale out. So, full credit to Chris Eubank Jr. As I predicted Eubank Jr. to win a 12-round unanimous decision. I thought he won it fairly comfortably. To be fair, I was pretty surprised with the judges' scorecards. I thought that they were very close. It was a very sloppy fight. There was an awful lot of clinching. There were some clinches that, both guys were almost like jumping. It was like they were going into a clinch. They were trying to jump up on top of one another. I know Eubank Jr. had a point deducted for, it was almost like a rugby tackle. So, it was a very sloppy fight. Having seen what I've seen in this fight, if this was, for argument's sake, James Degale of 2014, I think he would have outboxed Chris Eubank Jr. to a comfortable decision. We obviously don't have that James Degale now. We have this over-the-hill James Degale who, as I said, I'm looking at his interview now. I'm not going to play any of it. But I think James Degale needs to pack it in and call it a day. I'm sure he's made some decent money in his career, and if he does retire, then he's had a fantastic career. He's been a 2-time world champion, Olympic gold medalist. fantastic career for James Degale if he does retire. Eubank Jr., I would be advising him to drop back down to middleweight. Personally, I don't see him, unless he wants to target the winner of Yildirim Durrell. But I do think the WBC have something in place that Benavidez gets first dib. And of course, Benavidez will probably win that fight against Yildirim or Durrell, and I don't think Eubank Jr. would have much of a shot against Benavidez. The issue with Billy Joe and the guy he's meant to be fighting for the vacant WBO title, I've seen various sources today say that that's now going to be an interim title because Gilberto Ramirez is planning on sticking around at 168. Ramirez would beat Chris Eubank Jr. definitely. And then you have Caleb Plant, and I think Caleb Plant would beat Chris Eubank Jr. So Chris Eubank Jr., this is the win he needed. He looked good. He looked better from a technical point of view. I'm not going to say he looked good. He looked better from a technical point of view in this fight. He done what I expected. He got James Degale up again the ropes. He had a success. It was more or less the fight I imagined. I did think Degale would be a bit sharper in the early part, but that is what that is. And those are my thoughts on this. So if you enjoyed the fight, let me know. Let me know what you thought of the fight. Let me know how far you think Eubank Jr. can go at super middleweight, or if he drops back down to middleweight. And again, leave your thoughts down below. It's been a good night of boxing. It's not the strongest card I've ever seen, but it's been a decent card. I paid 23 quid for this, so it was. I want to say it was somewhat worth the money. I would have liked to have seen a few more fights, but it is what it is. So those are my thoughts on this, and leave yours down below. Let me know what you thought of the fight. Let me know what you thought of the card if you watched it, and please leave your comment down below. Please hit subscribe, like the video, share the video, all that good stuff. And as always, I will talk to you after. There is some fights on Sky tonight that I did not know. I did not know Brandon Rios was fighting tonight. I may stay up and watch that, in which case I'll get a post fight out on that. And again, hope you all have a good Saturday. And I've been the G-Man. Thanks for watching.